Financial literacy.
Welcome back to AM Live, and now we're on regional concerns and matters, and on to the developing story. We're joined by Raymond Muhoozi, Nation Media Group Uganda's current affairs editor, to give us the inside story or inside look and perspective on what is happening from that end. And this is just to give it context, which has continued to stir controversy online. And Uganda President's son, Muhoozi, I hope I've given him the right name and pronunciation, has been promoted, it seems, to the highest rank in the hierarchy of Uganda People's Defense Forces amid his war cryptic conversations between Kenya and Uganda, in which he used the Twitter platform for his tweets. There are some of them, there you can see them on the screen. Muhoozi, who is now a general, caused an online storm tweet on Monday when he posted cryptic tweets of a possible invasion of Kenya by Uganda. Interestingly, the Ugandan government has since distanced itself from remarks made by Muhoozi, saying Uganda does not conduct its foreign policy and other official business through social media. The Ugandan Ministry of Foreign Affairs has assured the government of Kenya of a harmonious relationship. And that's in that letter there. Raymond, is this a promotion that Muhoozi has received? And then if it is so, then it smacks in the face of diplomatic relations from what the government has said in a statement that it doesn't communicate through social media. Was this a promotion and then in that sense a reward for what Muhoozi has been doing?
Thank you so much for having me, Mark. In every sense of the word, in military terms, for military rank, it's a promotion. He's been promoted from lieutenant general to general within the army, which is the highest rank of the Ugandan People's Defense Forces. But with that promotion came the removal of him from office, which is the more critical part of the story. The office is the commander of land forces. Uganda's army has what you call a foreign diplomatic stance. We are engaged in war in Somalia, we're engaged in war in the DRC, and we've undertaken peacekeeping missions. So the Ugandan army has also been used as a tool for foreign policy. And as a commander of land forces, that's a very sensitive office. So any remarks that were being made by the commander of land forces were being interpreted by other countries to mean the remarks of the Uganda People's Defense Forces. We saw this first with Ethiopia when the tweets went out in support of the rebel forces in Ethiopia. The Prime Minister of Ethiopia actually had a meeting with the President of Uganda, complained about those tweets. We've also had in closed-door meetings the President of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, complaining about the manner in which General Muhoozi uses his Twitter account. And I guess the army had a meeting with him also about 3 months back, in which they made it known to him that tweeting about matters involving diplomatic warfare, matters involved where the army is involved in, was out of the question. So when these tweets started going out, we knew for a fact that there was going to be some action being carried out by the army of Uganda as regards to what he was doing. We just didn't know that it would be a slap upwards, you know, removing him from office, but giving him a rank to go with.
Tell us, what is then the end game of this for General Muhoozi to tweet such? Because there's definitely a message that's being sent out. He has interest to lead the country after or succeed his father. What's the end game of this?
We clearly don't know the end game because he's been very guarded around taking interviews from the media and speaking to the media at length or being questioned about his motives. When his birthday came around is when a lot of public attention came towards him because the birthdays were celebrated in such a large and public manner. Yes. He helped secure some diplomacy between Uganda and Rwanda after such cold relations for almost 4 years. After securing those relations, he sort of got into the limelight as someone that was being considered for leadership positions. We also do know, however, that his father started campaigning for 2026 in just the concluded weekend. Yes. At least 3 ministers of government, who include the vice president, sign an endorsement asking the president, who is his father, to run again in 2026. And some of the tweets that we've seen from Muhoozi suggest that he wants to start his leadership in 2026. We're not sure whether that will start with the presidency or with any other leadership position. So it's still a matter out there for guessing, and it's also still a matter out there for contention.
Would you say he has a blessing of his father to run for president? And then to answer, as you answer that question, clarify to those who feel that maybe the father is in on all this, what's going on right now?
I don't know if the father has blessed him. The father has never blessed anyone for the presidency, not even his closest friend and person that he's been with for almost 40 years in the bush. He's been very guarded. He keeps his cards close to his chest. He's running again in 2026. We know this for a fact because there's a team that is already doing the campaigning and groundwork for him. The endorsement of the vice president is no light matter. The vice president on the weekend signed an endorsement asking the president to run again as a sole candidate in the coming election. Yes. So I don't know if he would have blessed his son in that regard. What we know is that he hasn't taken the punitive measures that he's taken against all the other generals of the army that have spoken out politically before, including some who were his in-laws. The punitive measures were these generals were taken through the court-martial, some of them for close to 8 years, and thereafter retired from the army. So we haven't seen that such punitive measures taken against other generals who've spoken or waded into political affairs being taken against Muhoozi Kainerugaba. And that, I guess, is the biggest crux of the allegation that, you know, the president either is taking his hand very slow on his son, yes, or rather he's blessing him tacitly.
What's the outlook of Museveni's administration on Kenya's new administration, that is President William Ruto? And are we expecting to hear him speak directly to this issue today or anytime soon?
Maybe I'll start with speaking to the issue. The president is supposed to appear today at a commissioning of Uganda at 60 Museum Peace. Of course, Uganda celebrates its independence on Sunday, and the president is expected to launch that exhibition. And by launching that exhibition, he also has a speech. Many cameras will be focused on that speech because the speech really details the history of Uganda, the role the army has played in Uganda's history, and the role the army plays currently in Uganda's political establishment. So we expect that in that engagement, in that speech, that he will speak about the matters that have been happening. What's the outlook of Museveni's administration towards Ruto's administration? It's a very positive outlook. Uganda is expecting Ruto into the country next week at the manufacturers, Uganda manufacturers event. He's supposed to speak there. We've also heard that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, senior members of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, including the Permanent Secretary, including the High Commissioner to Kenya, have moved to try and allay fears on the Kenyan side that, you know, these tweets mean anything in regards to the diplomacy between Uganda and Kenya. We've seen a statement being issued from the Ugandan Foreign Affairs, right, not mentioning Muhoozi, but insisting that Uganda and Kenya still share bilateral relations, and none of that is governed by social media accounts, even if those social media accounts of high-ranking members within Uganda's establishment. So Museveni's establishment has been very positive. It had a very positive outlook towards Ruto's administration. I guess Ruto's admittance at his swearing in, allowing Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to speak, calling him the father of the region in the presence of all the other presidents of the region, I guess that's also a tacit measure. Museveni met Ruto almost 6 times before Ruto became president during the campaigning period. He met Raila Odinga just once. He didn't meet Uhuru Kenyatta in a one-on-one scenario, but yes, the two met when they were commissioning the East African Standby Forces. So in any case, Museveni's outlook towards Kenya and towards Ruto's administration has been positive. Is that the same for Muhoozi's outlook? We can't tell, because Muhoozi, during the campaigns of Kenya, was meeting with Uhuru Kenyatta at a personal level. We understand the two of them have a relationship going on. We understand part of that relationship is to understand how governance and administration is carried out. We also understand it's partly a move by the president to have his own son sort of start to understand the region. We don't know for what purpose, but we know that the outlook for Muhoozi is more towards Ruto, who is a nemesis to is more towards Uhuru, who is a nemesis to Ruto. So
yes,
it's still out there on the cards for the calling.
All right, finally, Raymond, is Muhoozi to be taken seriously on what he's continuing to say on Twitter since his promotion? And he seems to be celebrating it, retweeting everyone who's congratulating him. And one of the tweets sent has been that now that we are a full general, let's show them what we can achieve. Let the naysayers watch the space. As simple as that. He is definitely not apologetic, and he seems to be celebrating this. Should the Commander-in-Chief William Ruto be taking this seriously?
Well, I really don't know what latitude of seriousness to attach to those tweets, because just before he tweeted about Kenya, he was also tweeting about the Italian Prime Minister promising to take her cows, asking the Italian ambassador in Uganda to act as a go-between him and the Italian Prime Minister. Before then, he had tweeted about the TPLF, supporting the TPLF. Before then, he tweeted about supporting Russia, yes, which is a position that's not adopted by the Ugandan government. He seems to very much be acting on his own, and his Twitter account is really very much a private and personal affair, right, on how he looks at the world. Is that the way that the Ugandan government looks at the world? I don't think. I think that there's a separation between him and the government of Uganda. And what's just happened really is the president removing him from a very critical office of the army that would impute those intentions as official intentions of the Ugandan government. And I guess that's the outlook moving forward, because now as a general of the UPDF, those views that he tweets about will be his own views, but they will not be the views of the office, of any office within the UPDF. He remains a special presidential advisor yes, to his father, and also remains in charge of special operations of his father. But we're not aware that Uganda would be engaged on any day, in any way, in a physical warfare with the Kenyan government. We've had trade tiffs here and there, but those have been mediated through political establishments. We're not aware of the Ugandan army being deployed anywhere close to the border with Kenya. It's very unlikely also that Uganda would engage in a war with Kenya, because 47% of all our goods coming into Uganda are through the port of Mombasa. So we are really keenly aware of what that would portend. I don't think that there would be a war. And in any case, the last time that Uganda and Kenya promised each other war, things didn't end well. So it's still written in our history books, right, that good neighborly relations with Kenya are important for the state of Uganda to survive.
Well, we certainly don't want any engagements militarily. We have enough to deal with in terms of on the home front, and I'm sure even Uganda for the issues, you know, cost of living that we have to deal with. So thank you. I salute you, Raymond Muhoozi, our general for Nation Media Group in terms of the current affairs desk. And we'll be looking out for that address from President Museveni on whether he will speak to this issue, which has seemed to be a slap on the wrist to his son for what he has been tweeting. Thank you for letting us disrupt your morning routine. You can get back to your Weetabix and your run in a bit. Thank you, Muhoozi. Good day. All right, then, from Uganda.